Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in across the globe. Dave coming to you here on this Friday in my interview series here on the 180 Revolution platform. I hope everyone is having a great day. I am so honored and blessed to have with us today Boni McClendon from Lake Mary, Florida, out there near Orlando. Welcome, Boni.
Hi, Dave. Hi, how are you? It's
Great.
good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so glad that you are here and with your story to be able to share with us today. But folks, before I get started, remember, if you want to be on my interview series, send me a text message, send me a messenger, chat, put it in the chat comments. And also, if you are watching and you have some comments, don't be afraid to share, put them in there. If you got questions as we go along with the interview with Boni, put them in there. We can actually pop them up on the screen. If you're watching on Facebook and you have StreamYard is going to ask you for permission, that just lets me know who you are so I can give you the shout out for watching and joining us today. So I want to get into this, but before I do, let me tell you a little bit about this young lady. Boni is definitely a gifted communicator who began honing her skills as a speaker, an actress, a radio host, and teacher at an early age. She enjoyed a 35-year career, 35 years as an editor-writer at a Fortune 500 corporation. The last 3 of her tenure, she wrote exclusively for 12 vice presidents who communicated with 15,000 employees worldwide. That is so incredible, Boni. Getting to know you at one conference is a blessing. I always love being around positive people and folks that have, as the doc says in his book, when you go through the setback in life, the 180 revolution is to help you show that you can succeed and go through this journey. If you're willing to roll up your sleeves and know that you have a family here. And now, Boni, you are a part of that family. So let me get started. What brought you actually to the 180 revolution team?
Well, just like you said, I have an experience to share, and I appreciate this platform to be an avenue to share these kinds of experiences, because a lot of times when you have difficulties, disappointments, hardships, you think you're the only person, or you think it's other people that surely went through this, but they're far away someplace, or they aren't in your immediate circles. So this show gives you a chance, and all of us a chance, to share those disappointments and help someone else realize you're not the only one that went through it, and you can come through it and come through without the smell of smoke.
Oh, that's exactly right. And that's exactly why the doc and I began this platform, is to reach out to folks. And we're so glad you're here. But I want to give you the opportunity to kind of share your story. Of what Boni has gone through in life. And I know there's some other things about you. So before you do that, I'm also going to let you know, folks, Boni is the co-owner of Billy Boy Productions, a music and writing studio outside Orlando, Florida. At Billy Boy, she edits books and writes bios, web content, brochures, and grants for clients. She is an ordained minister of the gospel, and this year she was certified as a John Maxwell team speaker, trainer, and coach. Communication is Boni's passion, and excellence is the standard she achieves in her work. Boni, take it away. Share your story, dear.
Thank you so much, Dave. I just wanted to share. I had 2 very disappointing, very crushing experiences in my life and my career. First was a marriage that didn't work out. So I was about 28 when I got married. I had 2 children. I met my first husband in college. So I left the college, and we married and moved to his hometown, which was a small town. I was a big city girl from Philadelphia. But I had a pretty sheltered life. My father was a Sunday school teacher. I went to Sunday school and church every week. And I had a little nice community that we lived in. It was inner city, but it wasn't any big trouble. And I was cultured to keep doing well in school, that succeeding in school, getting good grades would get me to college, which it did earn me a 4-year paid scholarship. So you understand, I didn't get way out there in the world at that time. I was just pretty focused on my schoolwork and all. And I married a guy who had been in the Navy and had traveled the world, and he was very experienced, but he wanted to go back to his hometown to practice dentistry, which we did. And it was a small town, very closed. Everybody knew everyone. I didn't know anyone. I was the outsider. The marriage started off okay. I had my first child after 5 years, but then I started having many issues in the marriage because, number one, he was a homeboy. He was popular. He had been a football hero in the high school. And I just got left out of a lot of activities. And then he was quite a ladies' man. So I started being very hurt by information I was getting about his escapades and things like that. On top of that, besides the first 2 years of our marriage, we set up the dental offices that we had, one in Orlando and one in the small town. But after that, I went on to school, got my master's degree, and started working in a very high pressured work environment in a defense industry where I worked as a technical writer and editor. So those kinds of pressures, having to do everything on a deadline, having to measure up to basically a military type of environment, because when you work in defense, most of the folks that are in defense are ex-military. So they were pretty disciplined and very, straight-laced, and I was cracking into a place being a Black young female that wasn't quite used to all of that. But anyway, the marriage ended in divorce, and I just literally almost had a full-blown nervous breakdown, but I still had to work. I had the daughter 8 and a child 4 at that time. And a voice came to me, and I know it was the enemy that just said, "You are not going to make it. You can't do it. You can't do this." Well, I realized at that time, because I had gotten very close to the Lord in a good Bible-based church, Bible teaching church, that this was that evil day, that they spoke of, serve the Lord in your youth before the evil day comes. And this was that telling day, that test that I had to pass. And I held on to all the teachings in the Word of God that I had. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God will never leave me or forsake me if God's on my side. And I was able to overcome. But I was always challenged with people or neighbors or his friends thinking or saying, rumoring that I was going to lose my house, that I didn't know how to pay my bills, that I wouldn't be able to raise the children. And it all did become a very big burden. But through all that I went through, I did overcome it, and I survived. I kept the house. The children are okay, and all ended up fine. They both went to school, got their educations, and have their own businesses today, and they're working and very productive. So where I was very hurt, emotionally damaged, I actually had 70 miles a day I put on my car getting to and from work. Now, can you imagine? Every morning I had to get up I had to be to work at first at 7:30 in the morning. I had to get up about 5 or 5:30 to get the children dressed, take them 5 miles out of the way to a daycare, and then go get on a very trafficked, busy interstate to get to work. And I did that. And traffic was always bottleneck when you would get home on the way home.
Yeah, so I know that.
That was a lot of pressure for a young person.
Well, Bonnie, what you just did is, folks, she just took us through. If you look at the Doc's book, Bonnie showed us that she learned to know her truth. She definitely learned to find joy in God's promise. Right? She had to show up every day every day. She couldn't take the day off and say, well, I'm just not going to do this. She had responsibilities and she took them very seriously. She remained steadfast in her commitment to herself and what she was going to do.
Yeah.
And then look at the end of this, she shows you that, look, you can break through those walls when you put in the work and the effort. Yeah. Now, yes, I know myself, having personally gone through a divorce, that it's one of the most trying times in your life. And I don't wish it on anybody. I don't think any of us plan to have that happen in our lives. Yeah. But when we do, we need to know how to show up and know our truth and do all those things. So, wow, that's just exceptional story. And I remember you just said you have another one. But before I let you go into that, what did you learn from all this suffering that you went through your setback?
Well, one thing I'll say, I may not have realized it at that time, but this is what, looking back, you need a support team. If you can, your church is spiritual people are excellent to have around, a spiritual mother, a pastor, a coach, a mentor that can help you when you really don't have the answers. One good piece of advice that my pastor's wife gave me, she said, don't make any decisions for a year. Just don't do it, because people were coming asking, could they buy my house and different things. And I was feeling like, yeah, I want to move away from here. I want to get away from all of this. And he was like, no, don't decide anything. So I didn't do that. And I stayed very close to the Lord. I stayed very involved in the church because I needed the strength that I was receiving from the Word of God, from the spiritual teachings I was getting. And this is the other thing. I believe that one way I got through that enough is get your focus on something else. Right. I had to be responsible for all of the events and things at my church. So I was very busy doing that. Now, at first it may be like busyness and you may feel like you don't have the energy to do that. But as you get it'll take your mind off of the negativity. It'll take your mind off of that. And I grew to love that activity that I had and the things I was making people smile. I was getting lots of attaboys, and I felt good about what I was doing. And it actually ended up preparing me to do things that I was doing on my job even better. So, and that led to promotions and success for me there.
And it's amazing too, because you've touched on this very much the spiritual side of life that has really helped you go through the setback, and I'm sure the second setback that I'm going to let you share here in a little bit. I want to was there some type of spiritual slogan or something, that a verse or a song or something that actually helped you along that journey, that you would, all of us find something that you just say, if I look and I read this, or if I do this specific thing that, that I remember. Was there something that did that for you?
The first thing was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That was my home-based scripture, Philippians 4:13, but also forgiving. Now that sounds, like, how could you do that? Because it actually was another woman involved. And I came to find out who the woman was, but I had to forgive. And I would be on my knees so many nights just saying, at first, just mouthing the words, because I knew that God commanded me to forgive. So I would just be saying, God, I forgive this woman. I forgive my husband. I forgive my ex-husband. I forgive him. I forgive him. Please help me, because I knew that I needed that cleansing. I needed to get that out of the way so that God could bless me. And I just kept on until it got to the place where I really did want to forgive her. And soon the feelings left, the anger, the disappointment, the despair. So you do have to forgive, because you got to move on. I had to keep moving forward. And that was what I found, continuously saying I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and saying, forgiving the person.
Yeah. And that's incredible. Now you share, this is very personal to you and a personal thing, a setback you went through and how you overcame that. But you also shared with me earlier about a setback that you went through professionally, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
would you like to share that with our audience? Because it's great to have a balance, folks, of not just a personal thing, but when you go
yeah.
through things professionally too, you need to be able to know how to have those tools and be able to walk through that journey and break through those walls at the end.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I I uh I also want to add on that first one, sometimes it's important to get a counselor, get counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't have counseling then for that, but later in my life, I did get into a counseling program with Impact Deliverance Center. And I think Paula Loblack, and I was really blessed with that ministry to go through that
Mm-hmm.
counseling. But because you don't need to suffer as long. If you can limit the pain, if you can resolve and process the pain as quickly as you can, that's what you would like to do. And I think that counseling helps you understand it better and understand yourself. And counselors have good information. Paula Lovelock had good information to give me that helped me through another challenge I had.
Mm-hmm.
But this second one challenge that I had was in my professional career. Now, I know that when you're a professional, I know for me, having lost the marriage, having two children to raise, 8 and 4, and my career meant a lot to me. Not that I wanted to climb the ladder so much, but I had to hold on to my job. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I had to hold
Absolutely.
on to that job.
Oh, you'd be on the streets, right? I mean, come on. That's
That's
true.
right. I had to eat. I had to keep clothes and
Uh-huh.
cars, and all this was new, and I didn't know what all it entailed. But that job was so important, and it was. And believe it or not, the conflicts on the job, there are many. Especially back then, they just had a different viewpoint about employees. Then you didn't have a lot of say so, but I had risen in the ranks. I had gone from editor to a senior editor, and then I became a team lead of the largest program at my company. And I was editing and writing technical documents. I had a couple editors working under me and a couple of artists. They did the graphics. Well, I did great. I thrived for 7 or 8 years in that position. I was on the main hall, so I got a lot of visibility. I was responsible for a newsletter that went all over the world, and I grew the newsletter from 4 pages to 50, and it was always well read. All the people at the company wanted to get it whenever it was the day to be distributed. They would be in line waiting to get it. Well, I had a new employee I accepted in my team, and somehow we didn't quite blend, and I ended up making a mistake that got me put into a very closed area way in the back of the company. I didn't have, this was like the smallest program maybe in the company, and I was working for 7 fledgling managers who were studying new concepts, where my program before was a entrenched program that had been operating over 20 years. Well, these 7 didn't have much budget. So, I had a half of a graphics artist, and it just was really hard. And I got in this closed, dirty, junky little area, and I sat down and I looked around. Now, it was just basically 2 cubicles, one for the graphic artist whenever she came. And I thought to myself, well, Lord, this is where I ended up. And I heard the Lord say to me, make lemonade. Make lemonade.
Wow.
That's what he said.
Lemons make lemonade.
Make lemonade. I said, make lemonade. I didn't know what that was. And then it dawned on me, oh, okay. So, because positive thinking and all of that wasn't as entrenched as it is now.
Yeah.
So I called facilities, got them to clean up the place, add deodorizer. I got the guy that was in that old junky area to move all of his junk out. I got new cabinets in. I organized everything. I got me a pen and a pencil set, a desk blotter, a little lamp. I put up a picture, threw it down a rug. And I mean, I had it looking good in there. And my manager, who, shifted me back there after I was there about 2 months, he came and he visited me in there. And when he walked in, he said, Boni, you're in a country club. So
so you turned that rusty old closet that they stuck you in into a country club appearance. That is fantastic.
I did. And in the 7 managers that I had, we did such outstanding work for them. The guy, the lead guy who had a lot of influence at the corporation, sent me a email at the end of the year. I was just saying, well, goodbye. We're going off for Christmas. We get a week off. He sent me back. But Boni, I want to tell you, your professional services were outstanding. You advanced my managers, and we appreciate everything you did. So that led to, now that was December, that led, when we came back after New Year's, to me being asked by this same manager that stuck me back there in the closet, listen to this, if I would take on a position as the diversity lead, reporting to the vice president of communications at the company. And I wrote only for 12 vice presidents who were on the diversity council to implement diversity at that time in our whole corporation in 14 operating units. So those last 3 years of my employment were the best. And I impacted people's lives in a real way in that position.
I love to use this analogy, and you just helped me bring it out today. This is what I call, folks, this is the ladder. You just heard a story of Boni on how she was climbing up that corporate ladder. And then because of conflict, somebody stepped on her fingers and took her from that almost, the top rung of the ladder and pushed her down. But she showed up. She remained steadfast. She did not let this deter her. Why? 1, she still had the joy in God's promise. 2, she knows her truth. And it paid off for her. So when you're going through setbacks, I love this because now you've heard it from Boni on the personal and the professional side. Yeah. So as you're going through your daily life, and whether it's on the personal or professional side, use Boni as your inspiration, as somebody that has been through both sides and has come out even stronger than that. Boni, one last question I have for you. What here at the 180 can we do to support you?
Wow. I think keep doing what you're doing. I think keep bringing these messages, these programs. This is a great undertaking. I worked at that same company, and a lady I would go to at the print shop would say, there was an old saying she said that she had, and it was, heap see, few know. Heap see, few know. A lot of people see things that see people, but very few really know what has that person's undergone or been through. And this program gives others a chance to know what people have gone through and overcome. That when I lost that position at the corporate and got put in the closet, I thought about some of those higher up VPs and directors who had also been in high positions, but got shifted out into like some little outer space place. And I thought about them, how a lot of times they had come back or left the company and gotten to be really great.
Right.
So I didn't let it smash me and crush me to the ground. I just said, I'll come back. And I held on to the Lord, and I did so. So You see a lot of people every day, but you don't know their stories. And I think that that's the great thing about the 180, is to tell these stories of tragedy that end in triumph.
Absolutely, Bonnie. I can't thank you enough for coming on. And folks, listen, if you're out there on this 180 platform, or you're a friend that's shared it to one of your groups and pages, and you would like to be interviewed, I try and set up interviews every Friday. I do have my good friend Jasmine Schmalley coming off from Vermont next week, and a few others that'll be lined up for December. But I'm always wanting people to come here and share their story. And you know, Doc has really worked a lot and hard behind the scenes. If you look, I just posted it in the comments. There is a link that you can go click on. What this is going to allow you to do, see, so you can go out and buy the book, Doc's book on Amazon, but you don't need to now. What you can do is click on this link. It's a free course that you can go through that'll take you through the entire book, taking
Awesome.
you from a setback to knowing your truth, to finding that joy in God's promise, to, you know, showing you how to remain steadfast, showing up, and then breaking through those walls. And then if you journey through that and you want to go deeper, there'll be opportunities, because here at the 180, we have at least 5 coaches already that will follow up with you if that's the journey you want to take. But take advantage of this. Bonnie, God bless you. Thank you for being a part of the show today. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, a great holiday season, and I'm hoping I'll get to see you again in March. In Orlando.
I sure want to be there, and I'm going to do everything I can to do so, because I appreciate you, Dave. I always could never forget you from the first time we met at the IMC. So I wish you the same, and your beautiful wife, Jolanta. Have a wonderful holiday season.
You do the same.
Thank you. Thank you.